Coming up next, I'll tell you the saddest thing that people tell themselves. I'll help you overcome the imposter syndrome. We'll take your calls and your questions in the chat room. It starts right now. I'm coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. It's all about you, because we absolutely know beyond any doubt that you were created to fill a unique role. That means you are needed, you're tremendously valuable, and you must do it. There's a duty for you to be you. Somebody out there in this world needs you. And so we're going to look at how you can get clear, and once you're clear, how do you get where you want to go? That's what the entire show is about. We're going to look at 3 basic things to give you that clarity and the confidence that comes from clarity. Number 1, what do you do best? That's your talent, abilities, and qualities. Number 2, what do you love to do most? This is work that gives you high levels of positive emotion and positive devotion. You give yourself away to it. Time seems to disappear. And then 3rd, what are the results that matter most? When you see those results and how they impact people, it gives you tremendous meaning because you see that you're making a difference, and that's significance. So that's what we look at, and you have the answers. It's just my job to pull them out of you. So let's get to it, shall we? 844-747-2577. I open up every show with a article, something from the news, because I want to aggregate relevant content for you. And many times it's data-driven, but I've got an opinion-driven article that I want to share with you because I think it's beautiful and it's also sad. And when I share this content with you, then I want to empower you to overcome this sad thing. The saddest thing that people tell themselves. A great article from Forbes by Tarina Allen. And she talks about being the age of 22 when she came across a piece of data that said 70% of people would never achieve their potential in life. And it freaked her out, obviously. That's a scary thing because she immediately personalized it. She doesn't want to be one of those people. And so she writes a powerful article, and I'm going to get to a few of the things that cause people to say the saddest thing. What's the saddest thing? She says that it is this statement: I don't have a choice, and I'm powerless to change my circumstances. Let me read that again, and I want you to soak on that statement and ask yourself, have I said this before? Am I saying it to myself now? Have I said it so many times to myself that now it has become a truth? I don't have a choice. I am powerless to change my circumstances. So, what are the statements that add up to that big belief? She lists out a few, and I think it's really good. Number 1, how am I supposed to make a difference in a culture like this? So you are in a toxic culture. We get this call a lot on the Ken Coleman Show. I like what I do. I love what I do, but I don't like where I'm doing it. I've got a toxic leader, a toxic team, a toxic company culture. Some people look at that and they go, I can't make a difference. I can't single-handedly change this. So what am I supposed to do? And you just accept it. A second statement: I'm not growing at this company, so why should I bring my A game when nobody even cares? A third statement: if I had better connections, more money, more education, etc., 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 I'd be able to do more in life and achieve my goals. A fourth statement: I didn't have the chance to work on that project or apply for that job or to get that degree. But if I had, things would have turned out differently. Uh-oh. I know this stuff is getting really tight, right? You start to go, ooh. It's okay. A fifth statement: some people just have all the luck. It's just not fair. That nothing good ever comes my way. A sixth statement: I have dreams that are important to me, and I'm going to get to them next year. But this is probably the 5th or 6th or 7th year you've said that. You just keep kicking the can down the road. A couple more. It must be nice to have a family with money and connections. And then finally, if she couldn't do it, I know I can't, so why should I try? If he couldn't do it, I know that I can't do it. So what's the point of facing certain failure? Those are defeatist statements. And those statements, when they keep showing up and you keep allowing them to rent space in your brain and stay there, they become statements that add up to one big giant truth, which is, I don't have a choice. I have no power to change. If that's you, let me tell you the one thing that will allow you to overcome that defeatist attitude that says, I have no power. Stop trying to fix it all in one big step. It's going to be small steps. It reminds me of when I trained for the half marathon a few years ago, and my first run where I had to take on a couple hills to train for the marathon. And I remember being halfway up that first hill and my legs were burning. I was starting to really feel it. And the first sign of doubt entered my mind, and I literally asked myself, do you think you can get up this hill? I don't think I can get up this hill. I'm having that conversation in my head. And I really started to believe for a moment that I wasn't going to make it up this hill. It was too hard. It was my first run. I thought, well, I'll stop halfway and I'll walk the rest because, after all, I just don't have what it takes to get to the top of the hill. That's the same deal. So what did I do? I had a breakthrough. I began to stop looking at the top of the hill and I looked down with the occasional glance up to make sure I didn't run into a car. But I looked at my feet and I focused on one step, 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 one step. And before I knew it, my body got me up to the top of the hill because my brain was only focused on those small steps, one at a time. And I got there. That's the key for you to overcoming the defeatist attitude. 844-747-2577 is the number. 844-747-2577. Now, if you're feeling that way, today's the day. I'm telling you, I'm here for you. Call in right now. You're feeling defeated and down. Don't be ashamed of that. Tell me right at the start of the phone call. Let's get to the source of the doubt and the fear and the pride, the very enemies of your success and progress. I'm just telling you. And I'm here to fight them, not you. 844-747-2577. We go to Omaha, Nebraska, where Amanda joins us. Amanda, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, how are you?
I am living the dream, Amanda. What's going on today?
So I was calling in to ask you, I'm thinking about where I need to go next because I've changed my career and I'm just kind of floating right now. I don't really know what the next step is for me.
Okay.
I'm considering like 3 basic career paths and they're all going to require very different education.
Okay.
So I just don't know how to narrow it down and how to decide which one is the one that I should really go
great.
for.
I love it. All right, let's start with quickly listing out all 3 options. What's option number 1?
Human resources.
Okay, what's option number 2?
Something in the mental health field, probably counseling.
Okay, and number 3?
This one's probably going to be more of like a side thing to do much later on, but something in like real estate and property ownership or house flipping or decorating.
Got it. Which of those 2? Is it both? Is it owning your own property or is it decorating for others or is it being a real estate agent? Can you be more specific? And have some fun with this.
I think it would be, I think it would probably be being a landlord, like buying properties, making them suitable for rentals and then renting them out.
Because that involves 2 of the 3 things there. That involves you decorating, making it look nice so that people want to rent your property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay. Yeah. All right. Just real quick, if I guaranteed you success in all 3 of these things, you could not fail. So it was just step into it and rock it. But you could only choose one. Which one would you choose and why? And don't think, feel, go.
Oh, see, I've been thinking about it for a while now.
I know, and I want you to stop.
Think about it.
Listen, stop thinking about it. I'm going to ask the question again, And I want you to not worry about being right or wrong. This is not a right or wrong situation, Amanda. You got to trust me on this. We want your heart to speak right now. Now, I give you any one of those three, but you must choose one. Guaranteed success, no failure at all. Which one would you choose? Say it right now.
It would probably be the mental health field.
Tell me why. And I want you to be very vulnerable if it takes that. I want you to tell me why that's your top choice.
So back when I was like late elementary school, I had already picked that. I thought that I wanted to be a counselor when I grew up. Wow. And then late in high school, I changed my mind.
Why?
So
Why?
Why did I change my mind?
Yes, why?
I felt like I could do more good if I was in a classroom. So I got a degree in education and then realized that the things, after I got the degree, the things that were most important to me were not going to make me a successful teacher. So
yeah,
I decided not to go into that.
Right. But I want to know why mental health has always tugged at your heart. Because I'm talking the fact that you always wanted to do this as a young girl, that is not to be trifled with. That is absolutely pure. We know from research that at the age of 9 is when many people begin to see a vision for their life. And many times they retreat back to that when they truly step into their sweet spot. And I'm just curious, where is that longing to help people with mental health? What's driving that? Tell me your why.
I think, I don't know, because I've been in situations where I feel like I could empathize with other people.
Yeah.
I've always felt comfortable with talking to people about what's going on in their life and trying to help them find solutions if they want to.
Yeah.
I just always felt like I had that kind of personality, and I've heard it from other people where,
yes.
like I've had crises come up or people with panic attacks, and I know what needs to be said to help calm them down, basically.
Yeah, you're good at it, and people recognize it. I want to know what you feel like when you've had moments in your life and you've been able to sit with somebody and effectively be a counselor, whether or not it was official or not, whether or not they exchanged money for that service. I want to know what you felt like moments after they left for you and said, that really helped me. What did it feel like?
It really did feel good. Like, I definitely don't know everything, and
I know.
Obviously, I don't have a degree in it.
Stop.
Like,
you're discounting yourself. Did you hear that voice? The voice of doubt. Right in the moment of great confirmation of how your heart felt, your brain started going, here's what happened. This is literally what you just said, Amanda, and this is the key as we move forward in the next minute. You just went, it felt great, Ken. It was so great. That was your heart. And then your brain went, well, I know I'm not official, and I know I don't have the degree, and I know I'm blah, 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 blah. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
You know what that is? That's the voice.
Well, I'm assuming you're going to say doubt.
Yeah, it's the voice of doubt. Your doubt. That doubt voice is saying, Amanda, you don't have what it takes to actually get through the degree, and do all the things that you've got to do to get there. It's not worth it because you're not good enough to actually help people. That's what doubt's telling you. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think you're right.
I know I'm right. I hear the little bit of emotion in your voice because you're confronting that right now. But see, young Amanda always noticed that the hurting people around you, didn't you?
Yeah.
You noticed them. And then your heart reached out to them. And that is what this is all about. That is why you chose that among the other three. That's the one that your heart's leaning towards. And so I will tell you that I think that, to me, I think that's where you've got to go because it answers the three questions very clearly. What do you do best? What do you love to do? And then what are the results that matter? And the listening and the counseling and the guiding is what you love to do. That's the work that gives you the juice, yes or no?
That's true.
And the results that give you the juice are life transformation, health, mental, emotional health. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
Do you have all the talent necessary to be a really good counselor? Yes or no? Do you have it?
I think you're right.
Yeah, you do. So that, to me, is a sweet spot. So it comes down to, we could go through human resources, but I think you die on the vine. I really do. I think the role that you've got to play every day is the role of counselor, healer, guide. If I were going to pick a word, and I don't care what the word is, but if you were to pick one word to describe what would make you fulfilled in your work, what would the word be? What comes to your mind?
Helping, probably.
Yeah, helper. Okay, great. So is human resources a thing? Is that in your sweet spot? Probably. But is it the ultimate thing? You get to decide, but I think you moving forward and getting that degree and whatever it takes to get there, I think that's what you got to do. And it may take you 3 to 5 years, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's worth it. It's worth it. And I'm going to be talking about this later in the program, by the way, how to overcome the imposter syndrome. All right. And I just did it for Amanda, but I'll break it down with 4 key things. But Amanda, I would also tell you, there's no reason why you can't be successful in mental health counseling and also flip a few houses over time. And both of those things are wonderful passions, and they feed your soul. So I think it's time for you to get serious about the best way to get that degree. And I can tell you this, it doesn't matter where you get the degree from. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to come into your counseling office and go, hey, before we get started, can I pull that plaque off the wall and just see where you got that degree? So don't get hung up on the most expensive and the most credible. That's all a bunch of hooey. Just get qualified. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to Justin in Florida. Justin, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how are you today?
Justin, I'm living the dream, man. What's going on with you?
Well, I'm glad I finally got through to you. I tried last week, but
thank you for keeping with it.
Basically, I'm a graduate of the University of Florida. I have a bachelor's and master's degree from there. And I've had a few different jobs since I graduated. And currently I'm in a business development sort of role. And it's just, I know it's not for me, and I know it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I've been praying a lot and everything, and I feel like I'm sort of being led to go down maybe a path of like nonprofit work, ministry work, maybe public administration.
Okay.
And basically I'm just kind of really confused and lost because it's different than anything I've ever thought I would be heading towards. So I'm not really sure what.
All right, let's talk about what are you most confused by? What's the most confusing thing you're dealing with right now?
Just what I'm supposed to do with my life, and in terms of career and
not
work.
Not true. I don't think you're confused. You were as clear as I've heard anybody go. I'm supposed to go down this path here. You just kind of threw a couple things at it. So as far as the actual location and title, yeah, you might be confused about that, but I don't think you're confused about what you want to do. You just told me. So let's just have some fun with it.
That's true.
Okay, so say it. What is it that you would love to do if I gave it to you tomorrow? Right now, as of right now, we could change this later tonight, but I want you to tell me, give me the best clear vision you can give me on what would be awesome to try tomorrow. You couldn't fail. You didn't have to commit to it for the rest of your life, but you'd try this tomorrow in that direction that you just told us. What would it be?
I think it would be to be like an executive director of a nonprofit of some kind.
Okay.
Just helping people. Yeah.
There's no confusion in that statement. Am I right, Justin?
No, not really.
All right. So what you're confused about, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're confused about is, how do I get to that executive director role? What's the path to that role? Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. So
and where that is.
Okay, great. Good. I think that's absolutely right. I'm not sure you know what type of nonprofit you want to work for, but I'm going to give you 3 questions that you've got to go do your homework on. Okay? You ready? You got something to write with?
I do.
All right, here we go. Who do I most want to help? Think of the person. Come up with a person. Come up with a name. What's their life like? Come up with that person or people group, a constituency, a demographic. All right. Who do you most want to help? Second question, what problem do you want to solve? So now that we got the person, you've already begun to think of their problem. What's the real problem? Because you can think of that person and go, well, this is their circumstance, but I want to know what's the source of their circumstances. And that's what you need to answer. What is the problem that these people that I long to help, what is it that's really causing all of their issues? That's the problem I most want to solve. And then that leads to the third question. How would you solve that problem? That's the solution you most want to provide. Folks, I just gave you 3 simple questions that have unbelievable transformational power to give you clarity. but you've got to get them on paper and wrestle with it and put the answers there. So Justin, that's your homework. You write those questions out. And I love using a pencil. I do it every day. Look at this. This is just a basic moleskin journal that I use every day. I write down notes on every person who calls into this show. And I write it down with a pencil. And this is also the same way I create new content. Why? Because some of you need this breakthrough. I just gave you the questions, but it's the process that gives the power. Write the questions down. We get them out of our head and I can look at them. And then I start to write the answers. I want to help single moms who are dealing with substance abuse. Okay, great. Well, that's who I want to help. Well, what's the problem I want to solve? Well, see, there's a problem that's actually causing the substance abuse. So what do I want to do? What's that problem? Okay, I'll write that problem down. There we go. Okay, third question. Well, what's the solution? The solution is they overcome the pain that's causing the substance abuse, and they actually get healthy, they get clean, and we get them a great job. That's the solution you most want to provide. Folks, I just walk you through the exercise, but by writing it down, I see it, and here's the power of the pencil. I call it what did I call this? I taught on this a couple weeks ago. I think I called it the principle of the pencil. Not to be confused with the proximity principle. I love principles and laws, folks. Here's the power. When I write it down and I see it, and I want to change it the next day or the next evening when I look at it again, guess what I do? Look at this. A little eraser, erase it, and edit it again. That's the power. Revisiting and editing. That's where clarity comes in. And by the way, if you don't want to use the old pencil eraser, look at this guy. Can we zoom in on this, Nathan? Which way? Let's go over here. Look at this. This is so great. I'm nerding out right now, and this is the YouTube show, and so I'm live, and it's my show, so I'm going to show you. Look at this eraser. Isn't that fantastic? Game changer. There is no pencil that can withstand the power of this eraser. And here's what happens. I'm free to flow on the paper because I got this eraser, and I can go, oh, okay, great. I'm going to go right back into that thought, and I'm not going to get writer's block or anything. I'm just letting my heart literally bleed on the paper. And I got my eraser. The power of a pencil is beautiful. But that's what you got to do, Justin. And then when we get the answers, and I gave you a sample, just made it up, now we go, oh, so I want to work for a nonprofit that is solving this problem by providing this solution. Ding, ding, ding. Tell him what he's won, Joe. He's won clarity and confidence and courage to finish the race. Folks, don't overdo this in your mind. I'm going to tell you something. I hope those of you that are new to the show, that you stay with me a couple more days to see my heart, because I don't want to apologize for what I'm about to say. But what I just did for you folks is as simple and as powerful of a process that exists in the universe. And I'm not saying that bragging on me, because I didn't come up with it. I just learned it from other people. But I'm giving it to you. It's a game changer. Please take that process if you're like Justin. All right, 844-747-2577. Here we go. To the laptop. Your questions coming in the chat room. And by the way, while you're watching today, if you like what you're hearing and what you're feeling and what you're thinking, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share this show with somebody that you know needs to hear this message. I am off the charts enthusiastic, folks, because I know how transformational this content is when you believe it and then do it and then share it. So join the tribe. Give us a subscribe. That way you get all the updates and you know when a show's live, and you can get all the goodies. All right, here we go. Kyle Marshall writes in the chat room, I'm stuck between my current job and a new role that I already accepted. Current job wants to counter with a new position. Do you have a principle or rule for this? Oh, I like this. I don't have a principle right off the top, but I'm going to work on that because I think, this is good. Like, what do you do when you have a fork in the road, right? And we get this call a lot. What do you do? So here's what you have to do. Don't be enticed by the feeling of being wanted. And here's what's happened. You got a new role and you accepted it. go back to why you accepted it. You better go back to that, get clarity there, Kyle, because what's happened is you got two people vying for your attention, and we all want to feel significant and loved, and you feel very loved right now. Oh, I'm valuable. Look at that. My current company wants to counter. And don't be enticed by more money. You better go with the clarity. What is it that you really want to do? Does the job that you just accepted get you closer? Is it the right ladder where you're on the ladder and it gives you an opportunity to climb? Because if that is the case, you stay with the offer that you just got and you said yes. Don't be enticed and tempted to stay in your current company just because they've thrown more money at you. Because in the long run, I get this call regularly. Ken, I took a job, I took a promotion for more money, and now that I'm in it, I can't stand it, and it wasn't worth the extra money. I get this call all the time. So that's what you look at, okay? And so that is what you're doing. You're looking at both options, A and B. Which one moves you further, faster? That's what we're looking at. So there you go. Oh boy. This is definitely our winner today, Nathan. This is definitely the username of the day. Whip It writes in, how can I use the proximity principle to help my special needs children find jobs? Okay, this is great. I love this. You don't use it any differently than anybody else. It's just that you're going to be doing it most likely on behalf of your child, but I would take your child with you when you can. See, I can't stand the whole, well, we use this term disabled, and I think it's differently abled. And so if I had a special needs child, I would be using all of my relationships, my web of connections, because they probably can't do it for themselves. So you use the proximity principle for them, but you're the one doing it. What do they want to do? So let's get around people, or what can they do? And let's get around people that are doing that. And in places where it's happening, and take them with you. I wish I had a better example. I wish I could be on the phone with you, because if I knew what the target was, he's okay, well, these are the things that my child can do and kind of wants to do. And they have these differently abled opportunities. They can contribute. And here's where we want to contribute. And so then we would begin to identify, well, who are the people and the places that would allow your child the opportunity to step into that. And so you go right after it. But I would take the child with you as much as I could. I have a dear friend who, his oldest son has Down syndrome. And I remember when he was born, it was quite a shock to everybody at first, because that's just kind of a shocking thing. You don't expect that. And then you find out, and then there's a lot of fear that's attached to the unknowns of what could be the health challenges and all the things that come with it. And I remember after he was born and he becomes a toddler, and, you just fall in love with this kid, and I have a special place in my heart for all people that have Down syndrome, because I've experienced relationship with this young man. And we would go support him and his family at this event called Buddy Walk. And it was all these beautiful adults and children that have Down syndrome. And I'm going to tell you something. I'll never forget that experience of being in that community and around all those wonderful human beings. And you're going, how would anybody ever look at them and say that they don't have just as much value as anybody else? They're the most joyous, kind-hearted, loving people on the planet. We should all be like those folks. And they do have contributions that they can make. And so I wouldn't be ashamed. I'd be proud, and I'd take that child with me, whatever their special need is, whatever the world classifies. Well, this is a special need, but I think they're special. I think they have a contribution to make, and I would take them with you when you're making those connections. And it's almost like addressing the elephant in the room, but taking all the oxygen out of it. We've had callers on the show before who had Asperger's syndrome. We had a lady called in whose husband had a major brain injury, and it affected his social skills. And they would say, Ken, what do I do to help them win in interviews? And I'd say, have them address it right up front. Hey, by the way, I have Asperger's syndrome, and I'm going to seem abnormal to you at multiple times during this conversation. But A, I'm aware of it. B, it doesn't affect me and my ability to do my job well. It just comes with some things that we got to mitigate and we got to be aware of. And the point is to humanize it, because anybody who's ever had a family member or a friend with special needs knows how amazing those people are. And when you get close to them and you meet them and you talk with them and you begin to engage with them, you like them, then you love them. And now every time you see them, even though strangers might look at them and have an abnormal first impression, anybody who's done life with a person with special needs knows that it gets to be very normal because they're a human. You love them. And you know they can do something. So I would embrace it. Take them with you on all the calls that you make, the personal meetings, the coffee, the lunch. Hey, this is my son. This is my daughter. And let's humanize it. And let's address the tension. And by addressing the tension, guess what happens? The tension goes away. All right. Good stuff. Thanks for the chats today. My goodness. Big stuff we're talking about today. This is life, folks, happening right here on YouTube on the Ken Coleman Show. Come one, come all. We are the biggest tent on YouTube. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. You know why? We don't care what your political persuasion is, what you believe. Wouldn't argue with you for a second. Here's what we know. If you're a human, you're welcome, because you have a role you're supposed to fill. And if you're a human, you're dealing with fear, you're dealing with doubt, and you're dealing with pride. And we can take that on for you. Let us fight that good fight on your behalf. All right. 4 things you do to overcome the imposter syndrome. This is everywhere. I didn't even know what this term was until recently, the imposter syndrome. And it was Amanda earlier in the program. She got us into this. And if you were watching the show, and if you're just joining us, you can go back and watch it. We'll have the show on demand a little bit later this afternoon. Watch Amanda's call if you're just joining us. She was dealing with doubt, which is the old-fashioned way of saying, I have the imposter syndrome. This is a term that's been coined recently. I don't know where it came from, when it showed up, but it just means I feel like an imposter. I'm pursuing what it is that I believe I'm supposed to do. And there are many times I feel like I don't belong in the room. I don't belong in this field. I feel like an imposter. And that's just good old-fashioned doubt. So how do you overcome it? Oh, it's so easy. Here we go. 4 quick things. And it's all about clarity. Number 1, confirm that you have the talent. Confirm that you have the talent. Do I have the abilities to actually pull this off? They may not be where they need to be, but I've got the raw talent, and with experience and time, it'll become a sharpened skill, and I can do it. Okay, great. Check it off. Check the box. I do have the talent. Number 2, confirm that you have the passion. This matters to me deeply. I love this work. Oh, I love this work. I wish I was better, but I know I'm going to get better. But it doesn't matter. I love the work. Check the box. You got the passion. Number 3, confirm that you love the result of the work. What's the end result of the work? We walked through this with Amanda. Oh, the results of the work make my heart so full. Oh my goodness. I know that I matter, and I can see the tangible evidence of my contribution. This is what we all long for, the results that matter deeply to us. We want to be able to produce those results. Okay, check the box. One last box, the 4th box. Confirm that the destination is worth the struggle. What I mean by this is, I love to use the Mount Everest analogy. This is the dream job. You're doing this, and you're creating the result that you love at a high level. Might take me a while to climb that mountain. I know it's going to be hard, but if I can just fast forward for a moment and quiet the fear, the doubt, and the pride, and we're really talking a lot about doubt right here, which is saying you don't have what it takes. You don't have what it takes. Let's look for a moment to the destination. Get quiet and say, if I knew that I knew that I was absolutely going to get there. And I believe I can get there. So is everything I'm going to do on this journey, is it worth the struggle to get there? To see this grand vision for my life come to pass? And if you check that box, you've got 4 yeses. Do I have the talent to pull it off? Yes. Do I love the work? Yes. Do the results that are produced or will be produced by this work, do they matter deeply to me? Yes. And then finally, is the destination that I'm headed to, when I get there, is it going to be worth the struggle? Yes. So 4 yeses. So you retreat to that clarity and you say, okay, then that doubt, the imposter syndrome, is a horrible lie. It's not true. What I know to be true is the checklist I just went through. And so now I do know I have what it takes. I have what it takes. The imposter syndrome, doubt, is telling you you don't have what it takes. You just verified. I do have what it takes. So I'm going to keep moving forward. One step, then the next step, and then another, and then another. So I could sum up the reaction, which is really, I went through clarity. Now, what is my reaction to clarity? It's the action. 2 actions. You ready? Keep showing up and keep stepping forward. Keep showing up and keep stepping forward. And before you know it, doubt will be a distant voice that will try to rear its ugly, nasty head from time to time, and you'll go, shut up. I know I've got what it takes. And you do. My time, unfortunately, has come to a close. But before I go, I want you to know that you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.